Ken, another sign of the continuing progress of the Whitworth women's basketball team, split at home this past weekend. Second pretty dominating win over Lewis and Clark College, and then really fought hard with George Fox for most of that game, other than a tough stretch in the third quarter. Tell us what you saw, and maybe something new that you see as a sign of improvement.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going off of Saturday against Fox first, with their group coming in off of, a close fought game on Friday night down at Whitman for them, down, a couple of key players. That's when you definitely want to be able to convert on, but that's kind of where you see those gaps and margins a little bit, where you just have to make up that little bit of ground of a group coming in where they had some players that were maybe in some more advanced roles than they were accustomed to, and they really took advantage of those opportunities. So a little disappointed, like you mentioned, of just coming up short in that ball game. Got down, 18 late in that third, got it all the way back down to, I think, 6 at 61-55 there in the fourth. Just weren't able to, make a couple baskets to really continue to stem that tide and really kind of turn the ball game where we really had some momentum, cutting it from, 16 down to 10 in a matter of like 40 seconds at the end of that third there. So, a lot of good stuff in that, first half. Really wanted to come out and take it from down 4 at half to up 4 instead of having it go the other direction was our main focus. So disappointed we weren't able to, make it a weekend sweep here to finish the regular season here at home. But then, like you mentioned, going off of Friday's ball game, a pretty solid performance, I would like to say. Got it up to probably, I think it was 26 somewhere in the fourth, or 66-40. Able to get other people some time, everybody getting, which is always nice, and reward people for all their effort and practice that, a lot of people don't get to see all year. So just proud of being able to, get a season sweep of one club, and some positive signs on the offensive side against Fox that we've just struggled with over the past couple of years with all of their switching and their length, which causes us some problems. But just on the defensive end, you have to come up with just stops. They had a gal who had, probably a career high game where she was the number one on the scout. So you got to be able to take those people out of the ball game. We're going to have to carry that over this weekend, especially Friday, with a team that's, pretty steady as far as, where their shots are coming from, opposed to, next Saturday at UPS, where it's a little bit more just kind of scheming systematically.
As you look at this group, the players who are freshmen this year, who have played so many minutes, do they feel more like sophomores now, having played so many minutes as first-year players? Do you see that kind of improvement in them?
I think the year goes by so quickly when you look at it from going back to when practices started, in September, to now you're, at the tail end of February almost, where, when they look back on the year, they might feel a big improvement individually for themselves, but I still think there's so much learning and growing that takes place that they still feel pretty youthful as far as their experience goes. I think when you approach, the spring and the off season, and even going into next fall, they won't feel like sophomores next year. They'll feel like they have a lot more experience than they do right now, just because I feel like, even though the months and weeks are short, some of the days are long, because like we've talked about with the group and through the course of the season, typically freshmen, even sophomores in some instances, don't get this amount of experience and things that they get to work through, where usually if someone has a bad quarter or a bad half, maybe you kind of sit them down and give them time to reflect and think about things and work through it in practice, where they're kind of had, what's the saying, trial by fire, where they just get to work through it and work just work through it. You don't get to work around it or just hope it goes away. So I think it's something where it'll benefit them, and us especially, as the hope in the long run, where right now you just have to kind of take your lumps for those freshmen, where they can look, down the bench and when we travel, and just see how much growth our sophomores have, where, the performance that Addie had on Friday night is one of the best I've ever seen, a triple-double hunt. And then, Pete had a really solid Friday night, make some more shots on Saturday. Feels a lot different, but just how much we put on their plate and how they've responded so well, getting all the attention that, they do from other teams.
You're going to finish the year over in Tacoma, Pacific Lutheran and Puget Sound, teams that we split with when they were here last month. Talk about the challenges that they will present, and what we want to do to end the season on a really positive note.
Yeah, this is probably, I think, always the trickiest trip or weekend pairing, as far as just styles being very different. POU mixes up their defenses. They run a good amount of actions for their players, whereas UPS is just, numbers game. They're trying to, they're putting 4 or 5 new bodies in the game, pressing or just high pressure in the half court where, it depends how you want to split your week as far as preparation goes of who do you want to spend more time on. Is it better to, focus solely on Friday and want to have momentum going into Saturday, or do you, want to focus on all of the style challenges that UPS presents? So it's something for us where I think we have a good rhythm and good plan. The next couple days are spent looking at how did things fare against those clubs when they were here the first time a few weeks ago, and then what do those teams look like now? Because just over the course of the conference season, you look and see some box scores, but you don't really get to check out a ton of film when you're not prepping for those games. So just being able to, like you mentioned, go on the road, finish strong, and really just have some momentum going into your spring and going forward, where I'm of the mindset that every time you go out there, you're looking to, you're either getting sent a message or you're sending a message, because you're going to see these teams again in the future going forward.